Hi, Rob here from AU Wax Melters, here today to demonstrate the setup of an AU Wax Melter water jacketed electric double boiler. For the purpose of the video, we'll be using a 7 litre digitally controlled candle making unit, just to show you how simple and easy to use the units are and give you some insight on what the benefits are for you. So here we are with our 7 litre digitally controlled electric double boiler. This model is purpose built for candle making and is ideal for your hobbyist and small business user. So firstly, we unbox the unit when it arrives, and our first step then is to just look over it and get our demineralized water and fill the water chamber. So simply we fitted our funnel to the unit and we get our demineralized water and we fill the chamber with demineralized water. We fill the chamber until we just see the water inside the window at the front of the unit. This is your fill window here. So continue to fill here now till we just see the water inside the window. So now that we've filled the unit up to we've just see the window that's visible in the window, we're ready to plug the unit in. Now this unit's had roughly 7.5 litres of water placed in it now of the demineralised, or distilled water is suitable also. So now we take our power point and plug it into the wall socket. Okay, now the unit is plugged in and we'll see that the top temperature is reading the current water temperature at 27 degrees and the unit is set at 80 degrees to heat the water to. All units are sent out with a preset at 80 degrees, so it's very simple to change. If you wish your product to be around 75, it's a matter of simply pushing the set button, arrowing across down to 70, arrowing across again to 75 and set. So now the machine will go through its heat cycle and take that water temperature to 75 degrees and stop. So now that we have the unit heating, what you'll notice is the fill window in the front of the machine, the water level is starting to rise. And that is because as the water heats, it will expand, and this is why we fill the water till we just see it inside the window. So as it heats, we have to give it enough room to expand so it doesn't overflow out of the machine. We want the largest heating surface possible, so we want as much water as possible in the machine for it to be its most efficient. So as we observe the machine heating up, we will see the water level rise. If the water level hasn't reached the top of the window, we fill it so it does. Why we do this is that if you see the window now, the top section of the window is quite steamy and foggy. This can't happen underwater. So as the water level falls, as the water is consumed, if you're running at the higher temperatures closer to the boil, which is where you'll get most of the evaporation from, this is your indicator to top up the machine. Now the machine could lose probably at least half of its water before there was any danger of harming the element, but certainly for the machine to be efficient, it needs all of its water, not some of it. For the purpose of the video, we've set the machine at 50 degrees. So as you can see now, the temperature is slowly raising to 50. We're currently at 48 degrees and the cycle is starting to cycle on and off as the machine learns how to maintain the temperature that you've set it to. So just prior to reaching the set temperature, the machine will start to cycle on and off to start learning how to manage that temperature. So it will do it within a couple of degrees. You won't experience spikes of 10 up, 10 down as it's trying to work it out. So these are quite an intelligent controller and will manage the water temperature very closely. So moving up to the machine again, look at our fill window, we'll notice that the water level has risen quite significantly from what we initially put in the machine. This is because as water heats, it rises. Once the machine has reached the temperature that we've asked it to do, if the water hasn't reached the top of the window, we fill it so that it does. The reason for this is if you look at the window in its current state, you'll see the top portion of the window has steam, and sometimes you'll also see condensation in there as well. Now this can't form underwater. So while we top the machine up, and I'll do that now, so now the window is completely full and the machine has got the maximum amount of water in it that will create the best heating surface for you. As the machine is used, and especially if you're running closer to the boiling temperatures, certainly at 50 you would see very, very little evaporation, but closer to the boil, the closer you run to that, the more evaporation you'll get. Most of the evaporation that occurs does hit the top rim of the inside of the machine and fall back into the machine, but you do experience a little bit out of the funnel. So as the machine's been used over time, you'll notice the water level will drop and you'll see that occur in the window again, that steam or condensation. That's your indicator to top the water level up again. This can happen whether the machine's cold, sorry, not cold. This can happen when the machine's used, whether it's empty or got product in it. It's really not going to bother the machine at all. It will recover very quickly. But certainly if you have product in the chamber and you were going to top the water up, you would make sure that you had the lid in place in case you had an accidental spill. So very simply, that's how the machine is set up ready for use. As you use the machine, the water level can drop quite low, probably around half before there would be a risk of damaging the heating element. However, for the machine to be efficient, it needs all of its water, not some of it. This is why we use the window, not a gauge. So the machine now is set up, it's ready to use, it's up to temperature. We've checked the integrity of the chamber just to make sure everything's, as it should be in there. And we're now ready to place our product in the chamber and make our products. Well, just an important point to remember, with the use of the demineralised water in the unit, you can also use distilled water, both are very acceptable. The purpose of that is just to protect the internal components of the units from some of the really nasty elements that you find in tap water or rainwater, for instance, such as your sodium and calcium and those things that will harden gaskets and potentially damage components inside the unit. So the use of demineralised or distilled water will protect the internal components of the unit, will literally quadruple the life of the machine, and the use of those will give you certainly a much better user-friendly result. The demineralised water itself is not discarded after the end of each use. Once the machine's filled up, it can be left in for the life of the machine and just topped up as required. So it's not an ongoing cost. Certainly if you needed to move the machine, you'd probably empty it and then just refill it again, but it's quite an easy thing to maintain. Thanks again for watching. We hope to see you again in some of our other videos. And remember, there's nothing better than an AU wax melter, and don't forget to like us on Facebook.